There are moments in history when the veil thins, when something long buried, something meant to stay hidden, rises again into the light. This is one of those moments. For millennia, fragments of an ancient secret have whispered through the corridors of time, surfacing in cryptic symbols, forbidden texts, and the hushed teachings of mystery schools. But now, in an age where information floods like never before, the full weight of this knowledge is emerging. And it carries with it the power to reshape not just how we see the past, but how we navigate the very fabric of reality itself. What if I told you that the greatest truths, the ones that define existence, consciousness, and the nature of divinity, were deliberately concealed, not lost to time, but hidden, buried beneath layers of dogma, political agendas, and the slow erosion of sacred wisdom? What if the key to unlocking your highest potential, to understanding the true nature of the universe, has been waiting for you all along, tucked away in the forgotten annals of history? This is not merely about rediscovering an old myth or dusting off an archaic philosophy. This is about confronting a truth so potent that its revelation alters the trajectory of human evolution. Imagine standing at the edge of an abyss, peering into the darkness, only to realize that the abyss is not empty. It is alive, sentient, and watching back. That is the nature of this secret. It does not simply inform, it awakens. The weight of hidden knowledge. History is not a linear march of progress, but a spiraling dance of remembrance and forgetting. Civilizations rise and fall, not just because of war or resource depletion, but because they lose touch with the deeper truths that once anchored them. The builders of the pyramids, the architects of sacred geometry, the seers who mapped the stars, they knew something we have since been conditioned to dismiss. They understood that reality is not solid, that consciousness is not confined to the brain, and that the boundaries between the physical and the metaphysical are far more permeable than we've been led to believe. And yet, this knowledge was suppressed. Why? Because those in power have always known that the greatest threat to control is not rebellion, but enlightenment. A mind that awakens to its own divine nature cannot be enslaved. A soul that remembers its eternal origin cannot be shackled by fear. And so, the secret was buried, not in the earth, but in plain sight, encoded in myth, art, and ritual, waiting for those with eyes to see. The call to remember. You are here, reading these words not by accident. There is a part of you, perhaps buried beneath layers of distraction, societal conditioning, or self-doubt, that knows there is more to life, more to existence, more to you. That stirring within you is not curiosity, it is recognition. It is the echo of an ancient memory, a whisper from a time before time, when humanity walked in full awareness of its own divinity. This secret is not something you learn, it is something you remember. And in remembering, you reactivate a dormant code, one that recalibrates your perception, aligns you with higher frequencies, and ultimately reunites you with the truth of who you are. But be warned, once this door is opened, it cannot be closed. To glimpse this truth is to step onto a path from which there is no return. The illusions that once comforted you will dissolve. The stories you've been told about reality will unravel, and in their place, something far more profound will emerge, an understanding that transcends logic, a knowing that defies explanation. The journey ahead. What follows is not just an exploration, but an initiation. We will traverse the hidden corridors of history, decode the symbols left behind by those who guarded this knowledge, and confront the forces that sought to erase it. We will examine how this secret manifests in your life right now, how it shapes your thoughts, your relationships, and your very perception of reality. And most importantly, we will uncover how to wield this wisdom, not as a passive observer, but as an active participant in the grand unfolding of existence. The question is no longer what this ancient secret is, but are you ready to receive it, To grasp the magnitude of this ancient secret, we must first understand that it is not a singular fact, but a living tapestry of interconnected revelations, each thread woven into the fabric of existence itself. It is not enough to simply know these truths. We must feel them, breathe them, and recognize them as echoes of something we have always sensed, but never fully articulated. At its core, this secret revolves around three fundamental pillars: the illusion of separation, the alchemy of consciousness, and the eternal return of wisdom. These are not abstract concepts, but laws, principles that govern reality in ways both subtle and staggering. To explore them is to step into a labyrinth where every turn reveals another layer of the grand design. The illusion of separation, the first great deception. Modern humanity operates under a spell, the belief that we are isolated beings in a random universe, adrift in meaninglessness. This is the grand illusion, the veil that has been pulled over our eyes for millennia. The ancients knew better. They understood that all things, every star, every stone, every thought, are interconnected in a vast, pulsating web of energy. Separation is the foundational lie upon which control systems are built. If you believe you are alone, you will seek external authority. If you believe the material world is all there is, you will never question its boundaries. But the secret whispers, you are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos experiencing itself. This truth was encoded in sacred texts, from the Vedas, Tattvam Asi, thou art that, to the Hermetic maxim, as above, so below. It is echoed in quantum physics, where entangled particles mirror each other instantaneously across vast distances. The implications are staggering. If separation is an illusion, then everything you perceive is a reflection of your own consciousness. The alchemy of consciousness, the power to shape reality. If the first pillar shatters the illusion of separation, the second reveals our role as creators within this interconnected field. Ancient traditions spoke of the mind's power to mold reality, not as metaphor, but as literal truth. The Egyptians called it heka, divine speech. The Hindus termed it sankalpa, intention made manifest. And the Hermeticists declared, all is mind. Modern science is only now catching up. The observer effect in quantum mechanics suggests that consciousness influences matter. Studies on placebo effects demonstrate that belief can rewrite biology. Even our language holds clues. To realize something is to make it real. This is the alchemy at the heart of the secret. What you focus on, you attract. What you believe, you become. But this power has been diluted, turned into self-help platitudes when it was once the cornerstone of priestly mysteries. The ancients didn't just think their prayers, they projected them, using ritual, sound, and geometry to amplify their will into the fabric of existence. The eternal return of wisdom, cycles of revelation and suppression. The third pillar is perhaps the most unsettling. This knowledge has surfaced before, only to be buried again. History moves in spirals, not lines. Civilizations rise, touch the divine, then collapse into amnesia. The secret is never truly lost. It is hidden, waiting for those who are ready to receive it. Consider the Library of Alexandria, burned not by accident but by design. The Gnostic Gospels declared heresy and buried in the desert. The Cathars slaughtered for their belief in divine inner light. Even today, researchers who stumble upon forbidden discoveries, whether in archaeology, physics, or consciousness studies, find their work marginalized or erased. Why? Because those who control the narrative understand that awakened minds cannot be ruled. The secret is dangerous, not because it is false, but because it is too true. It reveals that power has always resided within the individual, not the institution. The living paradox. You already know this. Here lies the great paradox of this secret. You do not need to be taught it. You need to remember it. The feeling of déjà vu when you read these words the resonance in your chest when you hear certain truths. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. The secret was never meant to be hoarded by elites. It was meant to be recognized, like a forgotten melody rising from the depths of your soul. The question is not whether the secret is real, but whether you are ready to act upon it. There is a language older than words, a syntax woven into myths, dreams, and the silent spaces between stars. To truly grasp the ancient secret, we must step beyond linear explanation and into the realm of symbol, where meaning unfolds in layers, where a single image can contain universes, and where the deepest truths are not told, but revealed. These are not mere stories. They are living transmissions, designed to bypass the rational mind and imprint directly upon the soul. To engage with them is to undergo an initiation, one that has been encoded across cultures, epochs, and even in the very architecture of reality itself. The forgotten language of the gods. Before alphabets, before scripture, there was symbol. The ancients did not write their secrets in plain text. They hid them in the curve of a spiral, the angle of a pyramid, the alignment of a sacred site. Consider the serpent, coiled around the staff of Hermes, later medical caduceus, not a symbol of poison, but of kundalini, the dormant force at the base of the spine that, when awakened, unlocks higher consciousness. The Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail, not a morbid loop, but a cipher for eternity, the cyclical nature of time, and the alchemical process of self-creation. The labyrinth found from Crete to Chartres Cathedral, not a puzzle to be solved, but a path to losing oneself in order to be remade. These symbols were not decorative. They were functional, portals disguised as art, designed to trigger recognition in those prepared to see. The hero's journey as an esoteric blueprint. Joseph Campbell unveiled the monomyth, the hero's journey that underlies all great narratives. But what if this universal story is not just a literary trope, but a spiritual map? From Gilgamesh to Christ, from Buddha to modern cinematic saviors, the pattern repeats. The call, a disruption of the ordinary world, your current awakening. The refusal, the ego's resistance. This can't be real. The threshold, point of no return, synchronicities, visions, collapse of old identity. The ordeal, dark night of the soul, when the secret tests you. The revelation, ego death and rebirth, the secret remembered. The return, master of both worlds, living the truth amidst consensus reality. Your life right now, your doubts, your seeking, your moments of clarity, are not random. You are in the story. The ancients left these narratives as breadcrumbs, knowing that when the student is ready, the myth becomes autobiographical. The hidden hand in plain sight. Some transmissions were hidden too well, by being placed where none would think to look. Fairy tales, Snow White's poisoned apple, forbidden knowledge, the prince's awakening kiss, divine spark reactivating dormant consciousness. Nursery rhymes, Ring Around the Rosie, encoded memory of plague-era initiatory rites. Cartoons and modern media, The Lion King's Remember Who You Are, direct Gnostic awakening command to Simba and to you. The secret was never lost. It was camouflaged within culture itself, surviving persecution by masquerading as entertainment. The ultimate symbol. You here lies the most potent cipher of all, your own life. The recurring patterns, the coincidences, the people who mirror your deepest wounds and gifts. This is the secret's living language. When you dream of falling, of being chased, of finding hidden rooms in your house, you are not just processing daily stress. You are receiving transmissions in the native tongue of the soul. To read these signs is to realize there are no accidents. There is only the secret, whispering to you in 1,000 ways, waiting for you to listen. Knowledge untested is merely philosophy. Wisdom unapplied is but a whisper in the wind. The ancient secret we've been unraveling was never meant to be confined to dusty scrolls or esoteric debates. It is a living force, one that demands embodiment. To truly grasp it is to allow it to reshape your daily existence, to let it rewrite the codes by which you navigate reality. This is where the rubber meets the road, where cosmic truth collides with grocery lists, office politics, and the mundane rhythms of life. The question is no longer, what is the secret, but how do I breathe life into it? The alchemy of attention. Where focus goes, energy flows. Every spiritual tradition whispers some version of the same law: what you dwell upon, you summon forth. The modern mystic understands this not as wishful thinking, but as physics. Quantum experiments reveal that particles behave differently when observed. Psychological studies confirm that what we track expands. Even social media algorithms mirror this truth, feeding you more of what you linger upon. Practical shift. For 1 week, track where your attention habitually goes. Notice the emotional charge behind each focus point: fear, longing, anger, joy. Then, begin consciously redirecting. When you catch yourself ruminating on lack, pause and visualize abundance. When anxiety arises, breathe and envision peace. This isn't positive thinking, it's reality crafting. The ancients didn't pray idly. They prayed with full sensory immersion, as if their desired outcome already existed. Synchronicity as your compass. Carl Jung called synchronicities meaningful coincidences, but the secret reveals them as something far more potent: the universe's feedback system. Those inexplicable number patterns, chance encounters, or songs that seem to answer your unspoken questions. These are not random. They are the secret's way of winking at you, of saying, you're on the right path. Practical shift. Start a synchronicity journal. When a meaningful coincidence occurs, record it alongside what you were thinking, feeling at the time. Patterns will emerge. Treat these moments as conversations. Ask for a sign, then release attachment to how it arrives. The universe speaks in metaphors. A hawk circling overhead might be confirming your vision, not signaling literal birds. The more you acknowledge synchronicities, the more they multiply. This is the secret's law of engagement. Recognition fuels manifestation. The ritual of presence. Time as a liquid construct. Linear time is perhaps the most insidious illusion. The secret teaches that past, present, and future interweave like threads in a tapestry, meaning now is the only point of power. Indigenous cultures knew this, which is why their rituals often collapsed time, speaking to ancestors and future generations as if they were present. Practical shift. Each morning, before checking your phone, sit in silence for 5 minutes. Imagine your future self, a year from now, standing before you. What wisdom do they share? What warnings do they offer? When making decisions, ask, does this align with the version of me I'm becoming? This simple question bypasses short-term gratification in favor of destiny. At night, review the day not as a series of events, but as energy exchanges. Where did you give power away? Where did you stand in your truth? The shadow work imperative. No discussion of the secret is complete without addressing the shadow, the repressed aspects of self we deny. The secret doesn't promise endless light. It demands wholeness. The parts of yourself you deem unworthy, your rage, your greed, your perceived failures, aren't obstacles to awakening. They're the raw materials. Practical shift. When someone irritates you, ask, what aspect of myself am I seeing in them? The traits we judge most harshly in others are often our own disowned qualities. Practice shadow dialogues. Sit with a journal and let your suppressed self speak. I'm the part of you that's tired of being nice. This isn't indulgence, it's reintegration. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate the shadow, but to alchemize its energy. A disciplined warrior channels aggression differently than a repressed office worker. Same energy, different expression. The community paradox. The secret is an individual revelation, but it thrives in communal soil. Mystery schools existed for a reason. Certain energies amplify in groups. Yet beware, not all communities are created equal. Practical shift. Seek vibrational matches. People who resonate at your frequency, not because they agree with you, but because they challenge you upward. If no physical community exists, create an invisible council. Mentally commune with historical figures, archetypes, or future versions of humanity. They'll respond in dreams and intuition. Remember, loneliness is often spiritual hunger in disguise. The secret reminds us we're never truly alone, only temporarily forgetful of our connections. The final test, ordinary mastery. Here's the ultimate irony. The more you embody the secret, the less you'll need to proclaim it. The true adepts aren't those who speak in riddles, but those who radiate quiet sovereignty, the barista who serves coffee with unsettling presence, the accountant whose calm reorganizes the energy of a room. Your mission isn't to escape the world, but to imbue it with the secret's light. As the Kabbalists taught, God desires to dwell in the lowest realms. That means your office, your commute, your family dinners are the final altar. At the end of all seeking, there is a single, shattering realization. You were never separate from what you sought. The ancient secret was never truly hidden, only forgotten. And in remembering, you do not become something new. You return to what you always were. This is the great paradox of awakening. The more you chase the light, the more it seems to retreat. But the moment you stop, the moment you realize the light has been within you all along, the entire universe bends to meet you where you stand. The illusion of the seeker. For years, perhaps lifetimes, you've worn the identity of the seeker, the one who studies, who questions, who knocks on the doors of mystery. But the secret whispers. The seeker is the final illusion to release. There is nothing out there to attain, no guru to hand you the missing piece, no book that holds the ultimate answer. The frantic searching was necessary to lead you here, to this precipice, where all paths dissolve into one truth. You are already home. This doesn't negate the journey. Every step, every doubt, every moment of despair was initiation. But initiation is not the destination. It's the shedding of layers that never belonged to you in the first place. The invitation beyond knowledge. You now stand at the threshold between knowing and being. The secret is no longer an idea to comprehend, but a frequency to inhabit. This shift is subtle, but seismic. From seeking signs to becoming the sign. You no longer look for synchronicities. You are the synchronicity others encounter. From consuming wisdom to emitting it, your mere presence begins to awaken dormant codes in those around you, often without a word spoken. From practicing rituals to being the ritual, your life becomes the ceremony. Every breath, a prayer. Every step, a sacred dance. This is what the ancients protected so fiercely. Not information, but transformation. Not secrets to hoard, but fire to embody. The call to sacred responsibility. With remembrance comes responsibility. The secret was never meant to be a personal possession. It's a torch to pass forward. But here's the sacred twist. You don't spread the light by preaching or converting. You spread it by living so authentically that your existence becomes an invitation. For the weary, your stillness becomes their permission to rest. For the angry, your boundaries become their mirror of unexpressed truth. For the lost, your presence becomes a living landmark, proof that home exists. This is how the secret has always traveled, not through force, but through resonance. Not through conquest, but through contagious awakening. The final revelation. There is no final revelation. Just when you think you've grasped the secret, it will shapeshift. The moment you declare, "Now I understand," is the moment the universe winks and reveals a deeper layer. This isn't a trick. It's the nature of eternity. You are infinite consciousness exploring itself through infinite dimensions. There is no endpoint, only ever-unfolding beginnings. So take the pressure off. You needn't achieve enlightenment. You are here to play in the fields of the divine, to create, to stumble, to love, to forget, and to remember again. Your declaration of sovereignty. As we close, I invite you to speak these words aloud. The vibration matters. I am no longer seeking, for I am that which is sought. I release the need to decode the universe, for I am its living cipher. The ancient secret is not in my grasp, it is my very breath. And from this moment forward, I walk not as a student of mysteries, but as the mystery itself, unfolding. The words will land differently for each who reads them. Some will feel chills, some will weep, some will scoff. Wherever you are on the spectrum is perfect, because the secret includes all of it. The doorway is everywhere. Our journey together ends here, but your true journey is just beginning, or rather continuing. The secret will now speak to you through the way sunlight hits your windowsill at 4:23 p.m. The stranger who, randomly, says the exact phrase you needed to hear. The childhood memory that suddenly surfaces with new meaning. The dream, where you're both the traveler and the path. Stay alert, but not anxious. Curious, but not grasping. The secret loves paradox. It reveals itself most vividly to those who've stopped demanding proof.